It's a popular notion that our modern lifestyles are not compatible with optimal health, that the routines we go through every single day are actually harming our well-being, with an hour spent in the gym being inadequate to reverse that damage. This is something I agree with and have communicated in the past. Our bodies adapt to the lifestyles we present them with. Our capacity to adapt is intended to ensure that we're able to thrive in the environment we find ourselves in. This is the main stimulus for adaptation, not the 3 hours a week we spent lifting weights or running on treadmills. Of course, training this way can help to mitigate some of the damage caused by a lethargic lifestyle, but it's just a small splash in the ocean, and because we're often trying to make up for our bad lifestyle habits in just a couple of hours, we often push ourselves too hard and end up getting injured. Nor is the hyper-specialisation of sports-specific training a suitable antidote. This is one reason for the sudden pronounced trend towards primal health. Get out of the office and out of the gym and start crawling around the woods in the cold. While I think this type of training has a lot of merit, and I'll be covering that soon on this channel, I also think it slightly misses the point. After all, there's no single environment that shaped our entire evolution. While it's true that our environments have changed faster than our biological evolution in the last few centuries, leading to many of the issues we're talking about here, it's also true that we're capable of adapting to different environments. As I've said many times on this channel, kyphosis isn't really maladaptive if it means you can sit and type for longer. You've simply adapted to your lifestyle. The problem is that our lifestyle is so rote in many cases and so static that this becomes all we're capable of. The issue is that we have changed our environment to be as comfortable as possible, to the point where we rarely need to bend over, let alone lift anything heavy or climb. But when everything is comfortable and predictable, we never have to get outside our comfort zone, which of course is where growth occurs. There's a co-evolution between environment and organism, and this is what we missed in designing the modern lifestyle. So the answer may not be to return to a more natural way of living, but rather just to find ways to challenge ourselves throughout the day. Potentially we could create environments that lead to even more performance benefits and useful adaptations than those natural ones, without any of the downsides. Natural doesn't automatically mean better. But we need to be smart about introducing these new ideas. This is how we will design the shape of humanity to come, I believe, even before transhuman technologies take over. So to do this, we must start by fully understanding and addressing the shortcomings of our current routines. Here are just some of the ways that modern life harms our health and performance. So it's 6 AM, you've been asleep for about 5.5 hours when the alarm starts blaring loudly in your ear. You're startled out of deep sleep. The reason that alarms are designed to sound like they do is that there's no natural sound like a beep or a buzz. It therefore triggers a fight or flight response that pulls you out of deep sleep. That's right, your heart is now beating faster and your blood is circulating cortisol and adrenaline. What a way to start the day. And because you were pulled out of such a deep sleep, you may well be experiencing sleep inertia. Your back may be weak and soft from sleeping on it, especially if your mattress is soft and your lower back has been allowed to sag into the mattress. Your internal body clock is probably entirely confused as it's likely dark in your room. Now in a state of physiological stress and time displacement, you may head into the kitchen for a mug of coffee. Caffeine molecules bind to the adenosine receptors in your brain, waking you up by blocking some of the substance that causes tiredness in the first place. This doesn't get rid of it, it only causes it to build up, as though it were behind a dam. And if this is a regular habit, then you'll actually increase your adenosine receptors. Another cause of morning grogginess is actually thought to be caffeine withdrawal, so that's super healthy. And that coffee also causes even more of a sympathetic response, increasing cortisol and adrenaline even further. Coffee is essentially stress in a cup. Not judging, by the way, I love coffee like Kel loves orange soda. Next, you might pour yourself a bowl of cereal. That cereal may well be high in sugar and low in nutrients. It's a bowl of empty calories, meaning that you aren't getting the vitamins, minerals and amino acids that you need to sustain healthy bone and muscle. You'll get specific cravings throughout the day as your body tries to replace those missing elements. The sugar, not buffered by any complex carbohydrates or fats, hits your body like a freight train. That causes a sudden spike in sugar and insulin that over time could contribute to insulin resistance. It also means that once you burn through that sugar, at around 10:30 AM say, you'll have a crash and become extremely sluggish and lethargic. Did you know that one of the only universal stresses is people moving towards you? People from every single culture show a stress response when another person walks at them. So yeah, pushing your way down a crowded street during rush hour is no good for you, even before COVID-19. You may then sit in a dull, grey cubicle and start typing away. You are bombarded at this point by constant mild stressors, the light from the screen even slightly increasing your heart rate. The big ones though are those phone calls, more buzzing, and emails from your boss, clients and customers. Each one of these triggers yet more of a fight or flight response as you worry about things that are way outside of your control. This is a problem. Stress is not bad for us. The acute stress response is, in fact, a healthy response that prepares us for an ensuing challenge. Blood rushes to the brain and muscles so we can think faster, run quicker and punch harder. Meanwhile, less pressing concerns like digestion and immunity are put on the back burner as blood is rerouted away from those things. Blood vessels constrict, pupils dilate to let in more light, and blood viscosity increases to prevent bleeding out in case of injury. Your muscles contract slightly, increasing strength. Heart rate increases and so does breathing.
Fear is a superpower. Fear can make you faster and cleverer and stronger.
This is all useful when it lasts for 20 minutes to help you escape a predator. It is not useful when it continues for 5 days or 5 months, when stress becomes chronic, when your muscles tense up whilst you're at work, causing neck and head pain, and when you go for days at a time with a lowered immunity and increased blood pressure. It's no wonder that we're overtrained and sick, or that we develop mood disorders or obesity, especially as cortisol encourages the storage of fat in all the wrong places. You're ready to fight and yet all you're doing is sitting in your chair, tense and anxious. And it's not like many of us are challenged by our work mentally either. Maybe we were to start with, when we learned these new skills, but for many of us work has become rote and easy. This is a problem because it means our brains become less plastic. Learning new things increases the production of BDNF and other plasticity supporting chemicals. The more we learn, the more we're able to learn. That's why the infant brain is so highly plastic, why they are so infinitely capable of learning and adapting, because everything is new, from learning to stand and walk to learning to speak. As we age, we continue learning new things, whether it's dating, driving, new careers or the layout of new cities. But eventually, we settle down, we settle into routines. Barely ever are we challenged to learn something new. Our body cements the patterns it needs to maintain our current skill, but loses the ability to pick up new ones. As they say, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Why? Because that old dog hasn't learned a new trick in 30 years. It's not because it's inherently incapable of learning new things. This cognitive decline is worsened by deteriorating senses, a loss of vision, hearing and smell. This reduces the amount of information coming into your brain, meaning there's less to process. That's made worse by the fact that we wear shoes with thick soles which deaden the sense of proprioception that we should be getting from our feet. Of course, there's little natural light getting into the room, so vitamin D is depleted and bone density is weakened. Hours of poor posture cause that forward hunch called kyphosis that we talked about earlier, whilst tight hip flexors place additional stress on an already awkwardly under tension lumbar spine. When we do get up to move and get the pen from across the other side of the room, the most we can hope for is a couple of minute walk. As I alluded to at the start of this essay, everything is designed to be at standing height. You never have to bend down, never have to jump or climb. When we get home, we're often so tired from the commute and from spending the entire day slightly stressed that we collapse onto the sofa and watch junk TV. Junk TV that nevertheless stimulates us even more thanks to those bright screens, right before we go to bed too late on a stomach too full. So nope, 3 hours in the gym doing curls and a few heavy lifts entirely in the frontal plane when exhausted already from a busy week is not enough to undo all of this damage. This may sound dramatic. Keep in mind I'm just trying to make a point. There are actually many beneficial aspects of modern life that are fantastic for us. Activities like driving and even computer games stimulate the brain in amazing and unique ways. We live longer than ever before and we have access to huge amounts of information thanks to the web. I made a whole video on this. I'm not trying to be a negative ninny, I'm just pointing out some of the drawbacks of our current lifestyles and why a little bit of training isn't enough. And if you're a stay-at-home mum or dad, if you're retired or if you're a teenager, chances are that your lifestyle may not resemble the one I just outlined, but I bet everyone can relate to at least something on this list. So the point is that we need to consider training in the broader context of our lifestyles. This is where the real substantial change will occur. So just how do we do that? Here are some methods you can use to mitigate the issues I addressed here, and some fixes that will make your lifestyle more conducive to high performance adaptations. Try sleeping using a daylight alarm. This creates a faux sunrise to gently wake you out of a deep sleep. Sleep with the window open so that your body can use temperature as a cue for setting the biological clock. Avoid caffeine after 4 PM. Have half an hour of downtime before bed. Get outside first thing in the morning, ideally for quick meditation. Eat nutrient-dense foods. Avoid foods that are overly processed. Wear minimal footwear or even bare feet sometimes. Take regular breaks from work to get up and stretch. Learn to manage stress. Again, meditation works wonders, as does CBT. Learn new skills and consider this a crucial training. Play computer games? No really. Consider a cold shower to train cold exposure, cycle to work, go for thought-provoking walks, get a lumbar support cushion for your desk chair. You can also employ methods to integrate training into your daily routine, so that you're constantly moving and regularly challenging the body. I'm going to make a whole video on this soon, but some examples are: Keep a grip trainer by the kettle and use it whilst the kettle boils. Brush your teeth with your left hand. Enjoy more physical play with your kids. If you need to go anywhere under a mile away, jog. Ideally work from home. I keep dip bars by my desk chair and do regular dips, planche training, L-sit and more. Install a pull-up bar in your door and perform pull-ups every time you pass under it. I also personally like to stretch in the shower. As a dad, it's one of the few opportunities I get during the morning routine. Do things on the floor instead of a table and use a resting squat. So that might mean talking on the phone or reading. Perform mental math when waiting. Perform overcoming isometrics against your own body or against a wall while waiting. Train outside when you can, and visit new places. I'd love to hear your suggestions in the comments down below. So I hope you found this video useful and interesting, guys. If you did, then please consider leaving a like and sharing it around. That helps me out immensely. Thanks so much for your awesome support, and to everyone who suggested that James cover my channel over at Shredded Sports Science. He did, and it was awesome. I really respect his opinion, so it was hugely validating to get a thumbs up on that video. You all rock. Oh, and hi to anyone here from that channel. Welcome aboard the good ship Pioneer. Of course, if you like the idea of taking a cohesive approach to your physical and mental performance that goes beyond a few constrained movement patterns in the gym, then you may enjoy my ebook and training program, Super Functional Training. There I go into a lot of detail discussing the mechanisms of the human body and how to train for cross-functional performance. It all ends with a training program designed to build strength, mobility, speed, cognitive function and more. There's a link in the description down below, and there's a discount on right now during the pandemic. Hope you guys are doing great, and I look forward to catching you in the next one. Thanks again, and bye for now.